Greetings to everyone watching. So, I was watching this video on YouTube by Josh Plunkett about how to basically install and use April's automatic timelines for Obsidian. When I realized that when I came across this comment right here, that basically said, yeah, it's impossible for a non-coder to follow this. And I generally agree with his statement. I think this video is more intended for people who have at least, if not have like background in like IT or programming or something, then at least know much more about the Obsidian like text editor. This is still a great video, very useful, but it is not beginner friendly, I think, especially for the April's automatic timelines. So I have messed around by myself on this with the aforementioned plugin, and I will now attempt to basically make a video, hopefully to try and explain how to use it, how to actually use the plugin better. So yeah, I guess let's get started. Uh, so the first thing you want to do really is, yeah, obviously install the plugin. So if you don't have it installed, then basically go to settings, community plugins, browse community plugins, and then just search April, and you should see it, April's automatic timelines. It should be the very first one here. Then you should see an install option. You just press the install, and then you should see an enable option, which you then also press. Also, once you've done that, this is actually a very helpful page. There are like other resources you can use. Um, Granted, they are a bit confusing, especially if you just get started with these things, but they are uh, pretty good once you like understand how to use it. Um, so the next thing you want to do is actually very important. Um, so these lines here, this is basically what they call front matter. Um, and personally, I'm also not too sure about what the purpose about it is exactly. I think it's sort of like metadata. That's what it's supposed to be. But all you have to really know is that this is what is used to display things in a timeline. Now, in order to use this, to declare something as front matter, you use three, I don't know what you call it, dashes like this, like the dashes that are next to the zero on your keyboard, or at least or next to mine. And when you put like content between these starting dashes and these ending dashes, and that should be your front matter. Now, what you want to do uh, first and foremost is make sure go to sorry, let me just check. I think it is either core plugins. um oh no, it's editor, sorry. So you want to go to settings, go to editor under the options tab, and here where there's properties in document, yours might be set to visible. You want to change that to source, because if it's set to visible for whatever reason, this will not work. As you can see, it changed this completely. And as was the case in one of my previous testing attempts, if I do this and I do this, then it basically just transforms into like a this I guess separator, this page separator, and then any code you put between it, like whatever, will not be counted as such. So it's very important that you go and make sure that this properties in document option is set to source. Um, Now, I didn't figure that out by myself. I went to Reddit and found this post by user Oga Takashi, and yeah, basically just checked here. So immensely helpful. And yeah, so credit to that guy. So with that sorted, the next order of business is creating the actual timeline itself and the events for said timeline. So this is my folder structure. You can create your structure however you want. I just said main folder, then within that I said timeline, and then this is important. However, you have to create folders with your events. So you can name these folders whatever you want, but for simplicity's sake, I just named them, events 1 to 4. But yeah, you have to have folders, and then within those folders, you have to have notes. So then I also have one here just for resources and images within that. And here I have two files. I have render time the timeline one, and basically this code here is basically what we're going to be using to display our timeline. So the notes we created with the front matter in them, um, those notes will be displayed here. So when I go down here, then you can see, oh, great, right? You can see this timeline. Okay, I should have gone with the second one. Yeah, you can see here. Okay, here's the date. You can also see the timeline looks a bit better than the previous one. So the only, yeah, the notes here are, yeah, event 1 and then event 2, and basically these are how they're named, as you can see. So if I go back here, I'll take you through step by step through these like options. So the first actual option here is the AAT render enabled thing, and this basically tells the timeline that you want to display this event. You want it to be displayed in the timeline. So this will always set this to true. I can't think why you would want to disable it or set it to false. Next is timelines, and this is basically a list of all potential timelines you want to include this event in. So as you can see, we have main timeline here, so it will be displayed only in the main timeline. But we can also go and say something like timeline 2, or sorry, timeline 3, and so on and so on. And it will also then be displayed in those timelines. So for instance here, I'm using this, and this AT vertical is to basically say, okay, it's going to be a vertical timeline. I don't know if horizontal timelines actually work. Horizontal, maybe? Does that work? No, okay, that does not work. That is not an option, apparently. But yeah, so that's what that does. And these are the timelines, the timelines you're calling. So any events with these tags, these timeline tags, they will be displayed. So in this one, it is all the timelines that I have. And this is basically just like it 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 just displays the year. So if you input like the days and the months as well, it will just ignore that and just display the year. But we'll get more into that in like 1 second. So that's what this does. So if you want to have like let's say a timeline that includes the history of the entire world, then you'd have like world timeline here. But if you have one for like specific countries, you can say, okay, well, timeline for country 1, and timeline for country 2, so then you have separate timelines for those countries. Maybe you have like a general region timeline that displays like, I guess like let's say the old ancient Middle Eastern countries or something. Then when you can basically sort it like that, then a country can have like its own timeline and then the region timeline. and then also the world timeline, I guess. Um, so yeah, those are just use cases for that. Next are event title and event display name. Now, these do, I think this is just, no, this, the display name, I don't actually know if it has use. Surely it has a use if it's included here. But from my testing, when you use this, it doesn't actually display like, test. The AAT event title displays this text to the event. So if I go back here, it displays this text as like the title for the event. So I'm not sure what display name does, if it does anything, but according to the documentation, it should do something. Next, the following stuff is the start date and the end date. So yeah, this is pretty self-explanatory. This is the start date of the event, and the end date is, yeah, the end date, right? And as you can see, here is the goes 200 to 455. So this massive red line here is basically, it's the start date is 200, so it would be here, and the end date is 455, so it would be here. Here you can see we have a start date of 388, which is here, to 422, which is here, which is interesting. Yeah. Next in your event, you will, yeah, this like the name of the note, it doesn't really do anything. It's just the title for the note, so you can just ignore that. If you want to change the text, use this. The following thing you want to do is any like text for the actual event itself is going below this text. So yeah, you can like just input anything, and then if we go here, we will see, oh, okay, cool. And if you hover over it, you can like get more info on like the text, because the text only shows to a certain amount and then nothing. So yeah, and you can see that. For images, if I go to event 2, you basically just copy and paste an image below or above the text you use. I'm not exactly sure what would happen if we change it up. I don't think anything. I just think it would look the same, but it's worth a try. See how it looks. Oh, it's now outside of the bounds, if you can see there. So I mean, it does look cool for like to a certain extent, I guess. It doesn't look weird, but so we can just undo that. Oh no, never mind. It's the same. Okay. So, with the basics out of the way, the last thing you'd want to do for your events is basically display the date, display custom timelines, custom dates, things like that. So, for example, here you can see the date. It's 200-1-1. So it's, for me, it's the year, then the month, and the day, because I changed it. For you, it would probably be the date, then the day, then the month, then the year. So if you want to change that, you can go to here to your settings, then to the community plugins tab, April's automatic timelines, and then to date format settings. And then here you should see these three options. Now I'm gonna be honest, I'm not an expert in any of these. I did mess around with it a bit, but I reverted for the most part back after some failed attempts. But if you go and you look in the documentation tab, which should be under April's automatic timelines, then you can go down, go to generic settings, then scroll down to here. Then you can go to the documentation. Or alternatively, you can just go to community plugins and then click on April's automatic timelines here. And there should also be a link to the documentation somewhere in here. Oh, here's Oblivions, but we're, sorry, Obsidians. And then the other documentation is around here somewhere. But So I didn't mess around a lot with it, or rather, I don't really understand it that well. But you can do some cool thing I did figure out is, for example, if you want to remove all of this, because it does look kind of weird if you have like a fantasy world, I really dislike how this looks, then you can do this. You can like say you can remove a month, a date, and only have like the years, which I much more prefer. To do that, all you basically do is add this line of code here. So you say date, display, format, and then the year or the month or the day. If I change this to month or day, then it would basically just display the month. But because I haven't set the months, it only shows 0, 1 to 0, 1. But if you do input like the month date, it will be different. Let's change this back to year. Then lastly, oh, by the way, uh, yeah. Then lastly, the only other thing there is, which is pretty cool, is this. So calendar designations. So for example, if you use like, BC or AD, right? So past a certain year, it would use one designation, and before a certain year, it would use another, which is really cool. And you can go really in depth with this. So like you can see here, I said, from this date is from 788 after the holy year to 789 after the holy year. And as you can see, both of these do not use this designation, but because this date is after 788, then or sorry, 777, it displays this. Now to do that, all you do is go back to April's automatic timelines, date format settings advanced, and you go to the date you want to change, to the thing you want to change. So in this case, it was the year. So if uh if it's past a certain year, then we're gonna change it. Now to actually do that, we go here to the year, my apologies, and say add additional formatting. And all you do here is you keep this value in front here, and then you change it to whatever you like. So for example, let me add another thing. I've added another thing. So after the year, for events after it, now I'm gonna just add something that says the holy year for anything that takes place in this year. So this is what will be displayed. This detects like the year. And then this is to actually check if it's equal to or whatever. So yeah, you can see here if the number is greater than a certain thing, then, for example, this, if it's greater than 777, then display this text. Here, I'm gonna say if this value is equal to 777, then yeah, display this text. So let's test this out. Let's create a new event. We're gonna copy this code. We're gonna keep this just test. We're gonna paste the code here. We're gonna say AAT-render -enabled. We're gonna say add this to both timelines. The main, actually, yeah, we'll say main timeline, then test timeline. We'll change the event title to 4 and 4 and say epic test event. We'll copy this. We will paste it here as well. And then we will change the date to, let's say, 777, right? 777, or actually we can change this to the holy day, the holy year. Let's say the holy year has come. Huzzah. And then just to make it more interesting, let's add a picture, right? I don't really know these pictures as well. Yeah, let's add this. Very cursed holy year. Then if we go to the timelines, everything should work as intended. Here we go. So here you can see it's from 777 to 777. So yeah, you can also have things happen in the same year. You know, if you want to like include certain smaller timelines, like something happens in the same year but like months apart, then you can obviously add that. But if you want to like exclude, if you don't want it to like end, you can just say, okay, there is no end date to this. I mean, for this year there would be an end date, right? But for the sake of the example, I'm just gonna do that. So here you can see, okay, it's just the holy year, which looks much better, all things considered. And here you can see this as well. It is displaying here as well. So yeah, that's basically everything there is to it. So if this was too rambly or anything, then please feel free to comment and say so, and tell me how to improve any future videos. And if you need help with anything, if something was unclear in this video, which it might be, please feel free to comment as well, and I will, try to answer back as soon as I can. So yeah, hopefully this was helpful, and enjoy making timelines. Farewell.